We're going to follow up on an exciting development with one of the small caps listed here on the NASDAQ. I interviewed the CEO of Immune Pharmaceuticals a couple of weeks ago. Now today, Dr. Daniel Teper will sit down with Patricia with some news on their lead product. Patricia?
Hi, Jane. There certainly is a lot to get to today, so I'm going to bring in Dr. Daniel Teper right away, CEO of Immune Pharma. So there certainly are a lot of things going on, but before we get to that big development with your lead product, let's remind our viewers about your lead product. Just give us a brief overview.
So, Patricia, good morning and good to be here. Bertoluimab is our lead product. It's a targeted therapy. It addresses inflammatory diseases of the skin, of the GI system, of the respiratory tract, and a number of other organs. It was originally discovered by a company called Cambridge Antibody Technology, and we brought it back to clinical development. It's already been in patients, but we're bringing it back to clinical development in specific indications that are most promising for bertoluimab.
And I understand you have a big development. You've enrolled your first patient in phase 2 trials?
We have enrolled our first patient in the ulcerative colitis indication. That's an inflammation of the GI system. And we're very excited about this clinical trial. It's a 42-patient, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial where patients are randomized 2-to-1 to the drug versus placebo. It has subjective and objective endpoints that will allow us to decide the future development of bertoluimab.
So give me a little bit of an idea of the timeline. Say 42 patients, you've enrolled your first. What does the timeline look like? What is the next milestone, the next data release?
So, typically trials of that size in ulcerative colitis, can take a year, to recruit. We're extremely proactive at Immune Pharma, so we're increasing the number of centers able to enroll patients. We have a significant differentiation with other drugs for Crohn's and colitis. Crohn's is the more severe, disease that takes the entire digestive, tract versus ulcerative colitis. So, since the recruitment is difficult for that indication, and also we're selecting patients, based on the biomarker called eotaxin-1. It's also the target of intervention of our drug. So, about 50% of patients with moderate to severe ulcerative colitis have high eotaxin-1. So we're targeting that particular segment. Taking that into account, an enriched population can lead to better results in a defined group of patients, but you also have to find the right patients. So that's why we're making sure that enough centers are included in the study so that we can have timely results of this phase 2.
So speaking of timely results, are we thinking an estimate of about a year?
We're thinking about a year. And again, it's important to have the right patient in the study. So I think around a year is a realistic estimate.
And while, of course, we're always interested in efficacy, we're also interested in the safety profile. What does that look like?
So far, in the phase 1, safety profile was excellent. Also in the preclinical toxicology, there was no toxicology, no side effect, red flag. So we're confident, but obviously when you use a drug in multiple dose, you always have to be very cautious. But the mechanism of action of bertoluimab is such that it should have a safer profile than other drugs used for the treatment of that disease.
So if all goes according to plan, what is the potential here?
The potential is huge. The Crohn's and colitis market is expected by the end of the decade to be about $14 billion, and $10 billion out of that is biologic drugs such as bertoluimab. So we expect that based on the differentiated profile, we can capture a significant share of that market. Whether it's 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, I think it's premature to say, but it's significant. We believe, and actually the key opinion leaders in gastroenterology believe that if we confirm that selecting patients based on their biomarker profile, based on eotaxin-1, brings better results, this is game-changing for the treatment of that disease, because currently drugs that are being used, about 40 to 50% of patients respond and some lose efficacy over time. So if you know in advance that you have 80% chance of succeeding with one drug, it's much better than trying a drug and then failing and having to try another drug.
And speaking of capturing a significant share of the market, where are your competitors in this compared to Immune Pharma?
So, I mean, there's the current competitors and drugs that, everybody knows, such as Humira and Remicade, they're multi-billion dollar drugs. I mean, actually, they're more than $10 billion each if you count all of the indications. I would say the most recent development is a drug by a company called Receptos, which was acquired by Celgene for $7.2 billion, following results of a phase 2 clinical trial. So it's a very interesting drug. It's oral. It's an immunomodulator. It's promising, but the feedback that we're getting is that it will take its share of the market, but it will clearly not replace all of the drugs. So there is competition, but we have a differentiator drug, so we're confident that we'll bring value to patients that suffer from ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease.
And with so much going on, you've been expanding your leadership team. Give me a brief overview of who you've added and what they bring to the table.
So we have brought 2 senior executives with strong medical and leadership background. The first one is Dr. Monica Lucchi. She just joined a few weeks ago. She's the Executive Vice President in charge of global drug development and the Chief Medical Officer. So she will overview the development of all our drugs in clinical stage of development. The second senior executive is Dr. Miri Ben-Ami. She's also a physician. She is the president of our Israeli operations, where we have some of our R&D, but she's also the global head of our immuno-oncology group, which includes 3 drugs in phase 2, phase 3 development, which we intend to partner potentially in 2016, as well as 2 very novel platform technology, one bispecific antibodies, and the other one is called nanomabs or immunonanoparticles. So all this pipeline, I would say the advanced pipeline is for partnering and may generate revenues for the company in the relatively short term. The other pipeline is extremely innovative, groundbreaking, and may also may allow us to do early partnership, as you've seen with other novel technologies, such as the bispecific antibodies.
Well, those are the key words in this sector: partnerships and pipelines. Certainly a lot of exciting things going on for you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
All right, Jane, you heard it here first, and tomorrow we're going to sit down with the Chief Medical Officer of Immune Pharma.